here we go, episode 19 of the Hibs Ramble. I'm not just back because we've won. I was here after the Celtic game, so don't be throwing any accusations my way. I can also confirm that me and Mark are two separate people. However, Mark is not here this week because he's working late, so it's your original band.
The original two plus Shaun.
Yeah. It's actually, sorry, Shaun. So it's myself, Liam, and Shaun. How we doing, boys? We all right?
A good evening.
Yeah, I'm good, mate. I'm good.
Good evening indeed. What a night. Unai Emery's back in the Premier League. Well, we don't care about that. Edinburgh Zoo care about what we done on Saturday, though, because we handed the Pandas an absolute pumping. Hibernian 3, St Mirren 0. Liam, just before we talk about the game overall, what was your 3-0 fair reflection on the game?
I think so. I don't feel that they had an awful lot of the ball, never mind chances. I know they had a couple in the first half, but I think it's a fair reflection on the way that the game went. You know, we edged it first half and then kind of bossed them second half, and I think that the scoreline reflected that accordingly.
Shaun, that was after the nonsense of the St Johnstone game, and given how St Mirren were going in the league, Saturday was alright. No, you didn't know a thing like a 6-pointer, but with them in fourth, we effectively lost the game in hand on everybody else due to the St Johnstone result. Saturday was imperative that we picked up, maybe not necessarily a good performance, but a good and convincing win.
Yeah, I think the most important thing was getting back to winning ways. I think it helps not only the support, but it'll help the boys on the pitch and Lee Johnson, the fact that we managed to get a clean sheet as well. So, and the fact that we were so solid, or what I thought relatively solid at the back as well. So it's good to be back. No,
I agree. I mean, the team. So the team news was announced. Lee Johnson decided to stick with the 3-5-2. I think we were all kind of glad to see Nohan Kenna back in the team because, as we've seen at various points this season, he's been a right catalyst for Joe Newell. And Shaun, just again, Joe Newell on Saturday I thought was different gravy at times. What do you make? Because Joe Newell's now on his fourth Hibs manager, and he's went through these spells of being good, being like a tampon, in for 1 week, out for 3. Not really good enough in terms of his performances, where he seems to be. He's the other way around now. He's maybe 3-4 decent performances on the trot before he has a blip. How much do you attribute Nohan Kenna's signing and then integration into the team into that?
I think that is pretty much the whole reason as to why we've seen the resurgence of him, and more from a consistency perspective. I think, like you said, 4 managers now. I've always been a big fan of Joe Newell since he arrived, and I've never really felt that we've had the right players or the right system to get the best out of him, which is a shame on him, really. But I think it's key now the way that not only we're playing, whether it's a 2 in the middle or a 3 in the middle of the park, as long as Noah Kenny's next to him, he just looks like a world beater, and every performance is getting better and better, and it has been a lot more consistent from him. Even in the defeats that we've had in recent weeks, he's been covering every single part of that pitch. Every single grass as well. I was trying to think of the word there, Liam. He's been covering every inch of the grass, and it's good to see that he's getting that freedom as well. And we always moan about a midfielder not sticking in enough, or fighting for the badge, so to say. But I think Joe Newell's certainly done that a lot, and I think a lot of that does come down to Noah Kenny and the release that he gives him.
No, you're right, Liam. Have you noticed one thing that was picked up by Joe Newell in the summer was that he knows himself that he maybe tries too hard at times. He was almost always coming to drop deep to get the ball off the defence and try to move it forward. Have you noticed him not doing that so much with Nohan Kenna being in the side, and almost letting Kenna be the one to go and get the ball and then give it to Newell in that 15-20 yards further up the park where he can actually go and hurt teams? Because you can't hurt teams picking up the ball on the edge of your own box.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for Joe Newell, like Shaun said, under the last couple of managers, he has been trying to play that 6 and 8 role, and sometimes the 6, 8 and 10 role at the same time. So I think with Noah Kenny coming in, it frees him up really to do what he does best, and that is, playing in that 8, that deep line playmaker sort of role, and manage to, get the balls out wide. And we saw it firsthand on Saturday, just how much quality he does have. It was like rolling back the years and seeing a prime Scotty Allen at times with Joe Newell, and I think he's been great this season, to be honest. And I do feel, obviously, a lot of it's down to Joe Newell. You can't just say it's all down to Noah Kenny coming in and being able to free him up. But Joe Newell has to have the quality. He's got to have the confidence, and he's got an abundance this season, I think.
And I think the one, and it's an absolute travesty, because the one bit that sums it up better than most is that ball that he played through for.
It was gorgeous.
Oh my! If Scott Allen makes that pass, that's on a YouTube highlight reel for years to come. He took out about 4 or 5 players at least, and the only frustrating thing is that he never released it a touch sooner, because Chebraya had to check his run and come back. But I think Miko would have been offside anyway. But we could, we'll talk about that when we'll talk about that specifically more when we get to VAR later on. But in terms of the performance, I like we've said before we came on, we didn't really want to go through it blow by blow, player for player, because there's players right now that are turning out 6, 7 out of 10s every week. Players like Chris Cadden, Brian Porteous most weeks, Paul Hanlon, etc. One player that isn't for me is Chebraya. Now, I'm not sure if either of you agree or not, but I felt when he came in, when we looked at him, we got 2 plus 3, whatever it was, 2.5 to 3 million for Doig. And then we got Chebraya, and it was very much a case of, I think Hibs have won a watch with this, because he looked top quality when he first came in the door. Obviously, he's had to go through the heartbreaking situation of losing his dad, whilst living in a foreign country for the first time, trying to adapt. But Shaun, is he playing as you would expect him to right now, or do you think there's, not that to say that he's not giving his all, but do you think, for me, he's not the required level that we've seen when he first came in the door?
Yeah, I think there's been a real drop off in form from him. I've noticed, particularly the week before the Celtic game and the game since then, he's been very hesitant on the ball, maybe not wanting to try those forward passes as much, sometimes trying a little bit too hard as well. And I think that's came at the detriment of his game, whereas now we're seeing a lot of his passes go backwards instead of maybe into the middle of the park, into Joe Newell or Noah Kenny or whoever's playing in the 10 at that point. Prior to our run of defeats, I thought he was doing really well and he'd been really solid. Yes, he got caught out a couple of times, but it never really came at a cost because we were keeping clean sheets at the time. But now, I think because a mixture of his drop in form, maybe a loss of confidence, and the fact that he's maybe trying too hard, he maybe just needs to tone it down a wee bit, and that maybe might bring him back to where he needs to be. But he's really, really frustrated me at the moment. With his passes, too many backwards, his crosses most of the time aren't great, and his positioning defensively has been very poor as well, especially the last 3 or 4 weeks. And like I said, I think that coincides with a lack of form and confidence as well.
Yeah, I think it's worse when it's a back 4 though. I don't think when it's a back 5, him not being great is particularly offensive, to be honest.
That might have led to us going to the 3-5-2. Johnson, for all we know, might have identified it as well. If you have a look at Celtic away, when we originally had the back 4 before we ended up going to the back 5, a lot of our poor positioning did come from the full back area. So that might have actually been the catalyst to Johnson changing it to the 3 as well, because then it does free up Cadden and Chebraya to what should go forward more. But I think maybe from a defensive perspective, he's wanting to, just tighten up a wee bit, because what was it? Was it 3 defeats in a row?
Yeah.
So at that point, you just kind of want to do what you can to stop it and then get a clean sheet again. We've now got the clean sheet again, so using the 3 at the back is something to build on.
Yeah, Liam, the way you sit in the West Stand, you're in quite a good area. I mean, we're on kind of the same side of the pitch, but you're more at sort of ground level than I am, and you see Chebraev like first hand, practically right in front of you. To me, for where I sit, he seems very, very hesitant. Especially, well, obviously we see it more so in the second half than the first, but he seems very hesitant on the ball, like Shaun said. And when he's in that final, he seems, one, hesitant to go past the halfway line at times, and two, when he does go past the halfway line, his crossing is wayward, to say the least. Like the amount of times he's had in the past few weeks where he's had a chance to, take a touch and set himself, and he fires it almost over the other side for a throw in, or he's beaten he's hitting the first man. Do you see, for where you sit, do you see a difference in how he plays, more so in the second half?
Yeah, I mean, I think his crossing has always been a little bit hit or miss from his, even his debut up at St Johnstone. There's a couple of balls that he put in across early in the season that were beautiful, and no one was on the end of them. And there's been times where we could have been Rob Jones standing on Rob Jones's shoulders, and he still wouldn't have got to it.
Yeah.
To be honest, mate, I think it's just he has dropped off form, but I think he's absolutely desperate to get back into form again, and he's thinking about everything too much. He's trying a bit too hard. I mean, it's, as daft as that sounds, you're trying too hard. Everyone wants their footballers to try hard, but you know what I mean? Like he's doing things that he wouldn't normally do because he just wants to get back into that stride of performing well. I've got absolutely no doubt that he'll come back and he'll be playing like how he was playing at the start of the season again. We just need to get behind him. And yeah, he never had a great game on Saturday, or he's not had a great game for the last few games. But we can there's a good player in there. Eh? We've seen it. We've seen enough. We've seen enough of him to know that there's a good player in there.
Exactly. Talking of trying too hard. There's one man's, because apologies for any background noise. As you know, it is Halloween. My significant other is downstairs hosting a kids' Halloween party. The door's gone rapidly. We burns out guys in. So we chose a perfect time to record a podcast.
We did.
But somebody, talking of trying too hard, somebody who benefits in that is Ewan Henderson, obviously, because Kel McGuinness was suspended. Now, I didn't make it to Easter Road on Saturday, so I watched it on Hibs TV. And to say that Stuart Lovell wasn't a fan of Ewan Henderson would be an understatement. I like to think that when we talk about football, we're 3 jobbers who've never been, at that level. So we go by what we've seen over the years, whereas somebody like Stuart Lovell's lived it, breathed it. And he was scathing at Ewan Henderson. Things like trying too hard, tries the Hollywood ball every time. He tries to do everything first time. He tries to make everything look good. Do you agree with that, Shaun? Do you think Ewan would be more suited to maybe just trying to simplify things just a wee bit?
I would disagree with Stuart Lovell's last point, but I would incline to agree with the rest of it. I, like many that know me, will know that I'm a massive Henderson family fan, never mind just Ewan. And I am a big fan of Ewan as well. I don't think people might wonder why that is, because he's not really done it in a Hibs shirt, but I think from what I've seen, looking at it from a coaching perspective and a footballing perspective instead of a fan, I feel like there's a lot of ability there. I think a lot of it just needs to be nurtured a wee bit more. I think the goal that he scores does save his performance, and probably, like Liam said in the chat, will probably keep him in the team. And I think that's maybe what he needs. He definitely does need a run of games. But what I love about him is that regardless of how poor a game he's having or how many times something doesn't come off, he's the first person. Yeah, he's the first person to want to get on the ball. He'll drop deep. he'll play simple passes, 1-2s, as you've seen for, was it the second goal or the third goal, the move that he done with Melkerson.
He scored the third goal.
The second goal. That was a stunning little move. And throughout the first half and the second half, he was finding himself all over the shop. He had that great chance when he was one-on-one, when Martin Boyle played him through. His head could have went down there. He had another shot in the second half, head could have went down there, but he was finding himself in so much space all the time. And I think loads of people were quick online to criticise him, and rightly so, because a lot of the stuff that he was doing once he was in the space wasn't good enough. But he does have that ability to find those kind of passes, whether it is short or long. And I feel the fact that he's always confident enough to get on the ball and dig deep, whether it be in the final third or our own half, he's more than capable of always getting on the ball, finding the right man. And I think with a run of games and a run of confidence, I think that will only help him and the club.
Shaun,
Yeah.
you say that on Saturday he gets into those pockets and into those holes, gets on the ball, and it's like he does the hard bit, and then it was his final ball that was letting him down. Let's no beat around the bush. He didn't have a great game apart from the assist and the goal on Saturday. He really didn't. I thought that he was very, very poor first half. But then, like we said, he doesn't hide. He gets on the ball. He tries to make things happen, and whether it's coming off or no, he just keeps going and keeps going and keeps going. And I feel like Stuart Lovell going in on him, being a representative of the club, is a bit much, to be honest, because I watched it from home as well. And I did think that Stuart Lovell's analysis, although would have been fair for someone like you or I to comment on, I feel like someone who's representing the club on club TV, going in on a player like that is just a bit off.
I think it came from a place though where I think he expects more, and I think he was, whilst I think that some of the stuff that he said maybe it toed the line on whether it was constructive or not, I do think it comes from an area of knowing that Henderson can be better than that. Like, I agree with you, Liam, I thought he was poor in the first half. But then you take two instances, I suppose. So Shaun, the shot that you referenced, I think the second one, where he's almost in an identical area to where he scores and he lashes it over the bar.
Yeah.
He hits it full pelt when he doesn't need to hit it full pelt. And then his goal, he takes it really well because he almost walks onto it. And instead of
a lot of Omiyonga's goal.
Yeah, instead of lacing it, he just opens his body up and just almost passes it at the top corner. But interesting to you say about how, the coaching aspect of it and looking at it from, because we've heard a lot about Lee Johnson and Jamie McAllister and how they can, what their own track record is like in terms of developing players. Adam Owens has got a good background in that as well, having been head of youth development, I think, at Lech Poznan. And I suppose one player that Henderson can look to as inspiration would be Rocky Bushiri.
Yeah.
Now, I think it's safe to say that Rocky's signing in the summer was a shit show from all involved. The whole thanking him for his service, which indicates he was going back to his parent club, to then the announcement, which basically said we didn't want to sign him, we were practically forced to sign him. Lee Johnson made reference to him when he came in about how he was maybe 1,000 hours, I think, was it maybe 1,000 hours behind where he should be in terms of development and whatnot. And then his comments after the game on Saturday, where he says tongue-in-cheek that, but I think he was quite honest about it. When he came in, Rocky was one of the first that he would be happy to see out the door. Now, I mean, you could argue he's one of the first names on the team sheet, given that since he's been back for injury. I think we've maybe we maybe needed to move to a 3 anyway, but we've done that to accommodate Rocky and not to accommodate anyone else. And I think it says a lot as well when a centre-half gets man of the match in a game where the opposition didn't really threaten.
That's another thing that Stuart Lovell was pissed off about.
Yeah, but to be fair, I get it, because Newell was integral in the attacking play of the win. But Rocky was just as important for the defensive aspect. You look, for me, on form at the moment, based on the whole season, you'd have to say that Rocky's first choice, and then it's between Porteous and Hanlon as to who plays alongside him if we went to a 4, which 3 months ago you couldn't imagine anybody saying.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think on form this season, Rocky's been by far our best not just centre half, our best defender overall, and I completely agree with what you just said. First name on the team sheet for me from the back line.
I can't believe, and I really can't wrap my head around how Rocky Bushiri last season and Rocky Bushiri this season is the same player. I don't get it.
It just shows you how much a slight injury can affect a player mentally and physically, and what a wee bit of coaching can do. A wee bit of the right coaching as well.
He's been brilliant. He really has been.
He got a very, very, very hard rap last season. He was almost one of the boys that was picked on because we had a horrendous January onwards. I do still think there is bits that need ironed out. Like there was the shot from Ayunga in the first half that Marshall saved. But Rocky shows him on his weak side, but he does brilliant to do so. But then he completely plants his feet.
Yeah.
And when he does that, his body's in a set position. So as soon as Ayunga goes to shift, Rocky can't move. So I think there's wee things like that. There was also a bit, I still think he's a bit too lackadaisical and going for the ball. It's almost he gets to like that final 5-10 yards and thinks, oh, fuck, I better move to get it. But no, I don't. I struggle to remember a Hibs player having such a turnaround in such a short space of time. Like I say, given that as when he was signed, folk wanted
him.
To the point where he was, whether this happened or not, Ken messaging Ben Kensell asking, why do the fans hate me?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. See, after that, Mark was in the Albion on Saturday, and when Rocky walked through to leave, he got a standing ovation from everyone in the Albion.
Yeah.
So, I mean, everyone's opinion on Rocky Bushiri, I mean, every single fan. I don't know anyone last season who would have thought, oh, he's going to be a really good player, or he is one of our best players. Honestly, I don't know anyone who would have said that. But it seems like everyone now is in unison. We just all fucking love Rocky, man.
I think he reminds me a lot of all the other players that we have in our squad that are very young and very raw talent. Like from a talent perspective, as stupid as it might sound, like when we brought him in, I think there's a couple of his first couple of games. I said to one of my mates, like, he's so poor, but if he's coached properly, he could be really, really good, because there was even back then a lot of attributes that you could see that if again nurtured properly and coached properly, that he could be a really good player. I'm not saying he's anywhere near the finished article, but like I said earlier on, it just goes to show what just a little bit of good coaching in a short period of time does for a player, along with being injury free and a bit of confidence. Some of his reading of the ball, especially in the second half, some of his last-ditch tackles, was unbelievable. Honestly, it was. I think for me, because I was so delighted for him to be man of the match, and why I really, really wanted him to be man of the match, was because of everything else that he's had to deal with. Whereas at least Joe Newell is consistently starting to perform like that. Whereas for me, that is one of the best defensive performances that I can remember, and especially under Johnson's tenure anyway at centre half, it was just that good. And I think he needed a man of the match performance as well, just to do him the world of good.
Yep. I think 10 million is far too low.
Cheap.
I think we should be asking for 10 times that.
Here's a quick devil's advocate question for you, right? Just a quick answer. Does the emergence of Rocky this season potentially soften the blow if Porteous doesn't sign a new contract?
No.
Nah, I think because Porteous is loved by pretty much everyone, even though as silly as it is to say, because of how well Poch has done on his Scotland debut, he's actually been off it in comparison to other seasons. If Rocky's been this good, it just goes to show how well he's improved, considering people are, like you said earlier on, Craig, first name on the team sheet ahead of players like Ryan Pochis. But nah, I think it certainly would not soften the blow, especially if he was to leave in January.
Cheers, Shaun. That was the absolute opposite of a quick fire question.
I know, that's what I was going to say. Here's me going no, and Shaun gives you a fucking 5-minute answer.
And then we'll save the best for last for Saturday. Mikola Kukarevich, or I'm not even going to try and say it the way Barry tries to absolutely.
I think it's Kuharevich.
It's not.
I'll just stick to Kuchi.
I'll stick to Miko.
I prefer Miko as well.
Big Mac.
But what a proper centre forward performance that was. Epitomised with his goal. I thought his goal was absolutely excellent. The way that he's bullied Gogic to bits. He's basically won a ball he was always second best to win, and then managed to finish it.
I mean, Ragdoll and Alex Gogic isn't something that's easy, to be honest. I mean, the guy's an absolute man mountain, and Kukarevich has ragdolled him about as if, you know, he's a wee boy.
What a cut, like a wee touch and to bully him was honestly so pleasing to see, because you see something like that and you're thinking, oh no, here we go, his ref's going to give a foul. And I love the fact that the ref just let it play out, because I think maybe a couple of years ago, I think a foul would have maybe been given for that. But I think with having VAR now as well, it gives the referees a chance to let things run a wee bit longer and see how things play out, and then can maybe pull it back. I know we've already.
I think that's going to be a positive.
I completely agree. I know I've already touched on it, but the play leading up to it as well was absolutely sublime, and I think it's great that it was involving the three players that I feel, from an attacking perspective, needed it the most.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because of the match that Henderson was having, because Melkerson was back on the pitch for the first time in a long time, he needed that as well, that wee runny play, and then obviously Kuchi needed the goal as well. So I think just the whole thing surrounding that goal was tremendous for everyone involved. Couldn't be happier for the three of them.
I tell you what a finish as well. You know, when a big lad comes in, you think that, well, I think I said it last week, he's been brought in to score headers, but that is a sublime finish. And I don't know what foot's his strong foot, but you know, if his left foot's his weaker foot, then it's an absolutely bloody gorgeous finish. It's a 10 from me, to be honest.
No, it was a great finish, and it goes to I think you can see that he's been brought up in that sort of French academy setup, because obviously we were at the under-19s game last week, and the nonce team were fucking units, like absolute units, all of them, and technically very good in the ball as well. And I think you see the same as Kukarevich as well. You know, he's got that sort of continental coaching that's really brought on his technique.
He's got a wee bit of flair.
He's got a wee bit of swagger about him as well. I think, although it was on his left foot, the finish reminded me a lot of like Thierry Henry finishes, where he just opens up the body, curls it into the corner and stuff like that as well. So
high praise. That's high praise, Shaun.
He does come from a French academy, so that's probably the types of players that they're going to be watching and growing up watching as well. So
Nicola Vavavoom.
If he's a 10th to that player, I'll be a happy man.
Exactly.
So 3-0, I think we said at the start, it was probably a fair result. I don't think St Mirren offered anything during the game. They had a couple of half chances, but nothing major. I mean, I think out of the 12 games, they'd somehow managed to have 7 at home, and they've been very, very strong at home. So that's where they find themselves, you know, sitting fourth, or they might be down to fifth now. I'm not sure, in the league. But big game on Saturday. Friday. If you're going on Saturday, you've got to miss it.
Down the slope.
Like down the slope, said earlier on. But massive game. I think probably the biggest game of the season so far. You know, in terms of, I don't think there's many tougher teams to go and play at home in the league right now than Aberdeen. They're I think there's second best scorers after Celtic at home. They've scored 17 goals. They've only conceded 5. Liam, it's going to be for me anyway. I think it's going to be a tough game up there because our record at Pittodrie as it is absolutely fucking honking.
Yeah, mate. Even if we had a good record, I think going to play Aberdeen at Pittodrie now would be a tough task. They have been on form. They've been scoring goals, and Jim Goodwin is back on the sidelines. I don't know how that's fucking happened, but I think it will be a very tough ask for us. But after a good win really against St Mirren, I think the players will be full with confidence, and I don't think there's any reason why we can't go there, turn on the style, and hopefully get a result. And I really hope we get a result because I'm staying over in Aberdeen and I really want to have a good night out.
Shaun, do you see us going there balls out, or do you see us, because Goodwin suffered a bad loss at the weekend because he said during the week that Rangers were toiling and he was going to go there and attack them. He's went there and attacked them, and they've been like what happened to us at Celtic Park. They were sliced open.
They were torn to pieces. I think
they were torn to pieces time and time and time again. It was 4 going on 4.
Aye.
But do you, because the Aberdeen fans will want a reaction to that, Goodwin will want a reaction to that. Can we use that to an advantage? Can we? I think as long as we keep Miovski quiet, do we just soak it, and then try and use Boyle and Miko's pace, supplemented with Cadden, Shibraya, Henderson, maybe in the hole behind them, to pick them apart in the counter?
I don't think Johnson will change his style. I think from an attacking perspective, he'll continue to do what he's doing. I think he'll definitely learn from the Celtic defeat, and he won't do something like that against Celtic and Rangers away. But I think Aberdeen away, I think he'll stick with the same shape. And I think having the 3 at the back away to a team like Aberdeen will be exactly what we need to stop, Aberdeen in attack. But it'll definitely give us the right options going forward as well. We'll still have the 2 strikers, the one in the hole, and then hopefully the fullbacks can still get up and assist where needed. You're right. Aberdeen fans will want a reaction. The club will want a reaction as well. Hopefully, obviously, that doesn't happen. But yeah, you were also right. It was 4-1 going on about 8 or 9, and Jim Goodwin did get a hard time on all forms of social media and on the radio and stuff like that as well. So hopefully he takes another pumping this weekend. But
I would love it. I don't think there's anything to fear. And it will be a tough task, but there's absolutely nothing to fear. We've just come off the back of dusting them 3-1 at Easter Road. They had a man sent off, but we absolutely dusted them. So
the Hibs can only win against 10 men crowd have went quiet after Saturday as well.
Yeah, well, it is what it is.
I've just realised in terms of talking about Boyle and Miko up front, possibly Boyle obviously came off on Saturday. Thankfully, it's no his knee. Johnson confirmed it was just below the knee, so maybe just the top of his shin.
Do we know how, if he's going to be out?
I think they're probably going to keep it quiet because I think they said that he's going to get a check on it, but it's not as bad as it was feared. If Boyle does indeed miss out, Shaun, do we stick to the same formation? And if so, who do we bring in to play alongside Miko up front? For me, the natural choice would be McKirdy if he's fit. However, he might not be the flavour of the month with Hibs staff and fans alike. We'll talk about that after, but just more about who would be for me, it's McKirdy if he's fit, but I think you'd probably lean to Melkerson.
Yeah, definitely. You've definitely picked up on my loving for the Norwegian. I think if Boyle isn't able to start, I think it is a great opportunity for whoever steps in, whether it be Ewan up front, McKirdy, or Melkerson. I think all 3 of us would have a different answer. Liam, you would obviously you'd obviously want McKirdy, but I think
I would go for Ewan.
Craig, you'd maybe go McKirdy, and I think I'd go Melkerson. So I think that alone just goes to show the potential strength in our squad, that the 3 of us can't agree on who would be maybe a backup to Boyle as well. My concern with Boyle even starting would be that if he isn't 100%, he might not give 100%. As terrible as that is, but we all know what's coming up. If he's just picked up a knock, he's not going to want to aggravate it any further.
Well, as much as the club football comes first, I think there's a bit of me that's kind of sympathetic towards him in the case of how many chance, like, this is, what is his 29 coming up 30?
It'll be his only World Cup in my opinion.
Chance to play a World Cup, and given
you want him to be there.
Yeah, given what Boyle's offered to Hibs over the past 7-8 years of his career,
I think it's fair.
And I think the good thing is as well is that we've got, I mean, he's not been great recently, let's be honest. And we've got the options now, like you say, with Johan Melkersen, McKirdy as well. So
it'd be different if we never had those options. It would be we need to play Boyle.
I think because of the way that Johnson changed it on Saturday, and he went, like, he could have easily just chucked Johan on up top because of how many games Johan's already played, albeit out wide. I think that would have been the easy change for him to make, and that's the change I thought he was going to make. But the fact that he went with Melkersen and how considerably well he done up top with Kukarevic as well, I think the two of them could strike up a bit of partnership or could work well. But that goes to say that it could also work for the other two as well. But for me, I would like to see Melkersen get a run of games if Boyle is picked up a knock.
Yep, I think Johnson's a massive fan. A massive fan of Melkersen based on what he said during the summer, and like you say, bringing him on as early as he did on Saturday as well, because we'd seen him, we'd messaged in the chat about him at Celtic Park and the St Johnstone game, how he was out warming up with the squad.
Yeah.
You didn't really see that for injured players so often, so it's maybe just a thing for Johnson to keep him involved. And then also it's a thing from Melkersen as well to say, no, I'll do it. It shows how much he wants to be in the side.
I don't think you can doubt anything from that side from Elias Melkersen. I think his heart and soul is 100% in it.
He loves his fucking Hibs, doesn't he?
He really does.
Loves it.
There's we'll not do predictions. We'll do the predictions later on in the week when Shaun does his PMT. PMT stands for pre-match tweet.
Do we not do our predictions now anyway?
No.
We always do our predictions.
No. Because it's Monday.
4-3 Hibs.
It's Monday. We don't know how the team's going to... I'm not listening to you.
4-3.
I'm not listening. I'm not listening.
Fortress will score from a corner.
Just as an aside, going back to Saturday's game just for a second. So we were all at the under-19s game last week. Me and Shaun were in with the BAMs with Block 7. Me and Shaun have also said that we're never ever doing that again because
ears are still ringing.
I couldn't see half the game because there'd be a laddie in front of me with a flag that was at least 80 times his body size. Shaun, I think, almost got leathered in the face by a flag as well.
You're too old for it now, mate. That's what it is.
Yep, and obviously on Saturday, Murray Aiken made the bench. I thought Murray Aiken was outstanding for the 19s at Easter Road Easter Road last week. Sorry. Is it disappointing, given that we were comfortable at 3-0, that he never got on Liam? Because when he'd done his pre-match interview, it was mentioned about Murray being on the bench, and he said that if the game was going well, that he'd hopefully get some minutes. So is it disappointing that he decided to bring on, like, Will Fish, for example, and not Murray Aiken?
Yeah, it's very disappointing for me because when I heard him talking in his pre-match, then I fully thought that Murray would have got some minutes, and then when we go 3-0 up, you're thinking, here's the chance. So it is disappointing, and I'm sure that Murray will be disappointed as well. But at the end of the day, it's Lee Johnson's decision. He'll get minutes at some point. He's been involved in a couple of squads now, isn't he? So
he got his debut at the end of last season.
Yeah, so he'll.
I think Jacob Blaney played a few minutes in the League Cup group stage.
See, just touching on the Will Fish comment there, Craig. Is Porteous suspended? The only reason I asked that is because I know that the yellow card he got was stupid and it wasn't a yellow card in my opinion. But even by Ryan's levels of anger, he seemed overly angry at the yellow card, and then as soon as that yellow card's given, within about 5 or 10 minutes, Will Fish is on, replaced by Will Fish is on for Porteous. So that then led me to believe, not only by Ryan's reaction that he was suspended, that then Johnson's then prepping for a back three with Fish as the right centre half.
Well, how many do you need?
I'm going to go by my own Football Manager knowledge, right? And this could be miles off.
5.
But if you get booked for an accumulation of cards, suspension doesn't start for another week or two.
Okay. And I think that's why McKirdy was able to play against Kilmarnock and then suspended against Aberdeen.
I think so. So there's the accumulation of yellow cards is the ban starts. I think it's maybe 2 weeks from the date of the suspending card being given.
Right. I know he'll want to know what Fish is like in a back three anyway, and I know it's more of a preparation thing in case Porteous or Hanlon or Rocky pick up a knock, but it was just the way that Ryan seemed overly angry even by his standards, and then pretty much straight away Will Fish is on, and I thought Murray Aitken would have been the next, for me, it would have been the right next sub to make. But obviously as soon as that yellow card's made, that's why I thought, I don't know.
No, it's a good point. Well,
someone will reply and let us know. Maybe JD.
Someone fact check, please. JD will know.
So, moving on to something that wasn't going to be talked about, but now is going to be talked about, that happened last night in the fabulous world of social media. Harry McKirdy has been ruffling some feathers with his activity on Instagram. So, I think Swindon put something up about the result at the weekend. A Swindon fans tagged Harry McKirdy in it saying time to come back, and McKirdy's replied, not wrong. He's then uploaded a photo to his story of him doing the arrow celebration in a Swindon top, deleted it, put up a photo of him in Porteous, and then put up a photo of him in a Hibs kit being like, oh no. And there's seen a couple of ramblers in the comments getting none too happy with Harry McKirdy. Liam, where do you stand on it? I know that week in, week out, you stand and do the arrow to him and he patches you.
See, Liam, right? See, before you answer this, right? So I was sleeping by the time all this happened. My phone was gone. So by the time I woke up, said picture was deleted. So Liam, when I saw your comment in the group chat being like, oh, McKirdy's at it or something, whatever it was you said. So I looked at his story straight away. And like you said, Craig, the first one is him in Porteous and it says Big P, right? And you know where this is going. And then the second picture is him like that. I'm thinking, is he hinting towards the size of Ryan Porteous's penis, or what's going on? That is genuine. That's honestly where I thought it went, purely because of the first picture of him in Porteous and the caption. And I didn't see anything else because obviously the other one was, but lo and behold, I obviously went on social media and saw it all. But yeah, Liam, I'll let you answer Craig's question. I had to get that in.
What will add is, right, this is now, Harry McKirdy is now the second, in the time that I've known Liam, the second big name signing that Liam has wholeheartedly thrown his significantly large weight behind.
Who's the first one?
The first one being the Owl Seeker himself.
USA, the Money Badger.
Oh, so he's not got a good track record then.
No, so
listen, I hold to this day that if Chris Mueller was given time, he'd be a player for Hibs. I tell you that for absolutely nothing.
I disagree wholeheartedly on the fact that he was absolutely lightweight and shite. But are either of you overly arsed about what he's done?
I'm going to jump in here, Shaun, and nah, no for me. I don't really care, to be honest, what he's put on social media. We knew what the character was like before we signed him, and now he's playing up to people who like him, and Hibs fans have got a little bit touchy, and whether that's because he hasn't,
not like them, Hibs fans.
Yeah, and I think if that's just because maybe he's not hit the heights that we expected, or for whatever reason they've kind of turned on him, and I think that it was a pretty knee-jerk reaction. A lot of people going, "Oh, I'll drive him down to Swindon for nothing."
I've seen people selling his tops already.
I
on Twitter.
mean, come
There's-
on,
It's
come on.
See,
it's
for,
quite
see for,
indicative
for
of the
me,
fan
right,
base, though, right? See, the same folk that wanted Ian Gordon hanging from a noose outside Easter Road, right, on deadline day, if McKirdy's signing wasn't done after one start in about 200 minutes, 250 minutes combined, are now wanting him slung back down the road to Swindon.
Yeah,
It's just very, very knee-jerk. I think
it's very Hibs.
Aye, but it's daft on McKirdy's part.
It's daft on McKirdy's part, but then
Because he's done jack, even in his limited minutes, he's done jack shit but get booked. Like
no one's cared when he's put on the end of his Instagram posts up the Chelsea and talking about Chelsea
that's
this and that
completely
the next
different.
time.
I think that's completely different. I think, for me, I don't really care neither here nor there about it. Is it a silly thing for him to put on social media? Absolutely. Is he asking for trouble with the comment that he's made? Yes. Is it off the cuff by his standards? Yes, it is. Are Hibs fans too sensitive and jump on everything that they can to criticise any player at any opportunity? Absolutely, because there's far too many twats out there. But at the same time, you need to understand that the personality, that will have just been an off-the-cuff comment for him, but at the same time, it'll be a lot of built-up frustration on his side that it's not going to plan by his standards in his head, that he's not played as many minutes, he's not had as many chances, and he's not scored any goals. So I think it's maybe an accumulation of all of those factors, and the fact that, I mean, he's not even young. I wouldn't class him as a young footballer, because you've got players like Melkerson and Ewan that are younger than him.
His age is with me.
Yeah,
He's 25.
so I mean, he acts like you anyway.
some paper runs you for the only 25 age.
But I just think it's accumulation of all those things, built up frustration from him, anger that he's maybe not getting the chances that he maybe feels he deserves, on top of the fact that he's maybe picked up a knock. He'll see his ex-teammates doing well down south and maybe, wonder what could have been. I think he just needs to knuckle down. People need to calm down and give the lad a chance. The jury's still out for him. I'm not his biggest fan anyway, and I don't think he will have what it takes to cut it at Hibs, and I hope he proves me wrong. But it's a bit knee-jerk by certain individuals.
Oh, mate,
I'm not surprised, considering who those individuals were and the ages of them.
Mate, it's completely knee-jerk. I mean, it's not like he's came out on an Instagram post and said, "I fucking hate Hibs and I love Hearts." He's reminiscing about the good times at Swindon when he was playing games and scoring goals. I think, like you said, it's an off-the-cuff remark. I don't think he's meant any offence to or any disrespect to Hibs by it. I don't think he's meant that, and I think that people have taken offence and disrespect to it, and you can understand to an extent that, but I mean,
not to the extent some people have taken it to, and
Yeah,
I think it's swiftly forgotten if he bags in the winner away at Aberdeen. So
exactly.
hopefully he does do that. I hope he does come on, and I hope he does prove me wrong. I hope he does have the ability to do it. The only reason the jury's out for me is because he has only really had one good season, and we don't have too much previous from bringing quality strikers up from down south. So, but like I said, it'll be swiftly forgotten about once he bags a couple of goals and gets a run of games, something that he's not done either of at the moment.
Exactly. Once he gets that arrow celebration, it all will be forgiven.
We shoot in the Hibs fans, love
it. Quite right.
Hopefully Friday night. So we'll move on to our favourite point, our favourite part of the pod, which is that we're going to need to do like a jingle for this, like we've got for the Piemiership for the questions. Because
that's funny that you actually talk about the Piemiership, because I'm sure Shaun's got a score for the Piemiership this week.
That I do, yes, that I do. And I'll allow Liam to insert the jingle here.
Which pie is the best in the pie review? Which pie is the best in the pie review?
So my score for the Piemiership, let me find it, because I sent it in the chat. I'd actually like to go on record, and Craig will back me up on this one. The pie that we had at the youth game midweek was absolutely tremendous. It was,
It was
really good.
I think
And
mine tasted better because it was free.
Well, mine's maybe tasted better because it was discounted since we were season ticket holders, you know. What this sounds really bad, right? I can't believe I'm talking about a pie like this. What concerns me about the pie that we had midweek is I felt it was too good, and I felt because it was midweek and it wasn't rushed by the catering staff that I thought that's maybe why it was as good as it was.
So I added, when we spoke about this, so I was going to do my review, and the pie I had was absolutely rotten, like it was disgusting. So I decided not to do it, and I would give Easter Road another chance. We then arrive at the under-19s game, and the pie I had could not have been better. Like, if I was to say it could have been better in one area, I'd have been incredibly picky and incredibly Tory-like, and that is not me. So I've had a horrible one and I've had a great one. Saturday was going to be my leveler to see where it would fit. So we're still awaiting I'm giving them every chance. Like,
You did say that you would give it until before the World Cup. So
got one more game.
You got one more game.
Yeah.
I think for the one that I had, I think the major factor in the score is purely because it was prime match day and it was just before half time. So I feel from a catering perspective, the pie might have been rushed. It might have also actually maybe been sitting there a little bit too long as well. Who knows?
Your first one just before half time. Get it before the game.
Well.
But listen,
we move on. We move on to the score.
Get the scores to it. Come on.
So Liam sent me the categories earlier on. Temperature, filling, pastry, and value for cash. Temperature, very, very impressed. Give it a 4.
How do you like it? Do you like it like me and Craig like it? It's like kind of lukewarm, or do you like it really hot?
I didn't want it piping. I want it to melt in my mouth. I want it to be nice and moist, a good temperature in the mouth, nice and warm. So,
what about the pie? Well, he's gone.
He's gone. He's fucked it. He's absolutely shat out of giving a pie score here.
I, for one, am absolutely sick of Shaun Corrigan's council
the
plan.
anticipation. Oh,
here he comes. He's back.
Oh,
he's back.
Am I frozen? Am I frozen?
Yeah, you're frozen.
Right. Wait now.
Oh, well, we're waiting on Shaun coming back. Craig, how's the rest of your weekend?
I'm back. What are you on about?
About
you're
pie.
still frozen.
Still frozen? Well, at least it wasn't like the pie, put it that way.
Just while we're talking about pies, right, so I was down in Ayr yesterday playing for my team, and on the way back up we came across a local spar, and local spar had killie pies cooking away in their wee oven, and I have to say it was Terry Mendes.
Was that?
Yep, it was Terry Mendes.
Absolutely beautiful. Things you love to see. I mean, I get the killie pies from Aldi's.
Yeah, the Brownings ones.
Yeah, they do them in Aldi's. Yeah. They're very, very good. Shaun, you're back now. Thank the heavens above. What on earth have you scored this pie?
I cannot wait for this pie review like this. I've been waiting for this all day. Because I know that he's going to be really quick with his scores and his reasonings for the scores as well.
Here's hoping, man. I've got work them on.
Not like me. Yeah, temperature 4, easy peasy. Filling was a 2, too dry, not moist enough, not runny enough.
What about the pie?
A bit too chewy. Pastry 2, and I feel like a 2 is being generous. It was burnt. It was still edible. It wasn't
Did it stick to the casing?
No, I managed to get it out. But it was burnt, so it's not good enough. Bit hard. Value for money. But technically, I should probably give it a 5 for value for money because I didn't purchase it with my own funds. It got bought for me.
That's not the way the scoring works.
Yeah, it is.
Does this guy even
because
listen
you
to this
can't give it value for money if you didn't use your own money to buy it. That's
No,
why I couldn't take the pie from the under-19s game.
Nah, I'm still counting it. Still counting it.
No, you need to go, because the Easter Road pies are £3.85. I know that well.
That's
I know
too
the
much
price
for
points
me.
well. It's far too much. I've gone through before about the cost of living and the cost of pies, but if you want to know that, then listen back through the podcast, and I've got a whole spiel about how much a pie should be and all that. What's your overall score?
I was giving it a 2 for value for money, which gives it an overall 10, which in hindsight I feel like that's maybe a bit too high, but when you break it down I feel like it's fair.
Well, it's lower than mine. Middle of the road pie. Sounds like a middle of the road pie. I've definitely had worse than Easter Road.
Aye, it sounds like we've been definitely let down for Wednesday. But anyway, on to the most important part of the podcast, which is the questions. Now, the first one's come in from, so we've went, get your question in for today's podcast, and podcast. And Kev Wilson has went, this is a statement, not a question. So one, Kev, we didn't ask for a statement, we asked for a question. We did, myself and Shaun actually encountered Kev at the game on Wednesday night. Me and Shaun were just chatting away. The boy, he just went, "Are you Craig?" I was like, I don't know why I said aye, because you could have been anybody.
Could have
went,
said
do you do the podcast? I went, yes. I was like, this is Shaun. We're here to watch the game, mate. Please, no photographs, no photographs. Not tonight. We just want to enjoy the game. He was pretty persistent in wanting a photo with us during the game. We repeatedly said no. He then just decided to not talk to us and just listen to our high football and IQ that we shared on Wednesday night, before once again asking for a photo and a video to say happy birthday to someone. Again, we said no. So, Kev, it was lovely to meet you, mate, but next time, please just let us enjoy the game if you can.
Pleasure, Kev, and I'm glad they had the Rangers game on as well, kept us well informed of the Rangers result during the game. So
sounds like a top boy.
He is. No, yes, I'm being slightly exaggerating there. He only asked for one autograph, yeah. Said that Kenny really showed his worth to the team on Saturday. His defensive work allows Newell to ball out, plus he's looking a lot more comfortable on the ball. Obviously, he was listening to me and Shaun to have that level of football and IQ as a statement, not a question. But Kev, please be warned, next time ask us a question and don't give us a statement.
I'm sure he has asked us a question as well, to be honest, when I went through them earlier on.
The next one comes from Jack. Could Rocky be one of our most important players this season? Not put a foot wrong for me, and I'm definitely a lot more worried when he's not playing. Again, Jack, high football and IQ there. We've already covered that. Billy.
Since last week in, week out.
Yeah, Billy, King of the Twins. The Republic of Ireland League has one game left for the season, with Boyle potentially out for a period of time. Does Stephen Bradley come into the squad? Now, I'm not sure how the registration works, because I don't think him nor Runar Hauge can play until January, because their league season ends before the transfer window opens. So even though they're Hibs players, I don't actually think we can re-register them until our registration window opens. But
I wouldn't be surprised to see them both go back out on loan.
I think it's make or break for Stephen Bradley, in all honesty. He's going to be 21, probably coming up 22 soon.
I'd like to see him get involved. I think he's done well out at Dundalk. He scored a few goals, but so's Runar Hauge, so. Yeah,
but if you're wanting them to go out to the league, like the League of Ireland, you're wanting them to light it up and have.
You don't want them just to do well. You want them to tear it up.
He's not going to get in the team ahead of Martin Boyle, is he?
Yeah.
So.
Aye, and I think Owen's replied to Billy on that, saying we have a lot to cover before Bradley and Haug, Melkerson, McKirdy, with Nisbet returning. Billy's went on the defensive and said that none of the players you mentioned are natural right wingers. Billy, we don't appreciate that kind of hostility here on the Ramble.
Billy just loves the youth players.
Although I do agree with Billy's point that none of them are naturally right wingers, but I also agree with Owen in the fact that neither of those two should be playing wide right anyway, because in my opinion at the moment they're not good enough to be starting for Hibs at right wing. and the players that Owen does mention are better in that position at the moment.
Batman Gilmore, I don't know if his name's actually Batman, but we move. Neither would make the match day squad, I don't think he's in. So kind of covers it. Matt says thoughts on Melkerson. I was pretty impressed with the lad. Shaun is currently nursing a chubby because Shaun wholeheartedly agrees with that opinion.
I agree as well.
Kev has also asked, was Saturday our best performance of the season? Starting 11, subs and tactics were all spot on. LJ is building something good here. Also, will we play the same shape against Aberdeen to match up with them on Friday? I think we've covered that as well.
Yeah,
I think however how much we were good, St Mirren were also quite poor.
Yeah.
I think it was a half decent performance. I think we've played better and got worse results.
Yeah, the 3-0 sort of clouds a lot of judgment in terms of the overall performance, I think.
I think we set up the same way on Friday as well, to be honest.
Yeah. The most experienced Skechers wearer that Liam and I both know, Liam Riley, has asked, having played everyone in the league, where do you think the squad is compared to other teams in the league? What's your thoughts on the squad compared to pre-season? And he shared that kind of how the league table would look without the old firm. So we're currently on 11 games played, 6 wins, 1 draw, 4 losses. 4 losses for me against non-old third teams at this stage of the season is pretty pish.
That's embarrassing if you ask me.
Especially the one at home as well. That's the one that's annoyed me the most, is the St Johnstone one at home.
Especially given how good our record at home has been, you know.
That annoys me consistently year on year out, is our inconsistency in beating the dross of the league.
Yep.
I think definitely in comparison for us and the rest of the league, I think the two strongest teams out with the old firm are us and Aberdeen. I feel like we've both got the deepest squads in terms of quality. I think Hearts are maybe just behind Aberdeen, but you know the amount of injuries that they've got.
Injuries.
When they have a fully fit squad, it is riddled with quality, unfortunately. But thankfully,
it is. But I think Aberdeen just pipped them on. That's not even me just being bitter either. I think, you got to take the injuries into account for Hearts at the moment, but I think it's between us and Aberdeen.
Injuries that Hearts have, and none of them are ever to Craig Gordon, unfortunately.
Yeah.
You're just hoping he gets one.
What's your thoughts on the squad compared to pre-season? I answered that in January. See where we're come the break, and see where we're maybe come the end of the January window, and see what results we've had when we come back for the World Cup. But thanks, Liam, and keep on wearing those Skechers, mate. You wear them well. Ewan Stilden has asked, realistically, how many points should we take home before the World Cup break? We answered that a couple of weeks ago, and we're not going to get anywhere near the answers that we've said because we didn't win. We're not going to.
Who is it we've got? Aberdeen, Kilmarnock,
Ross County, I think.
Ross County.
Ross County is on the Tuesday after we play on Friday.
I'd take 6.
Yeah, I think we need to be I think we need to win at least one and remain undefeated. I think.
Yeah.
So you're looking at, I'd take a point on Friday. Take a win.
And see if we win the next 3 games, then what does that take us up to 12 points out of a possible 15?
Yeah.
Which is a great return when you think about it.
Yeah.
So,
Chelsea McCormack is once again asking what date is the calendar available?
1st of January, 2025. I need to get in shape first.
No, I think we could do a collab of some sort with somebody.
Like Lana Wolf.
McKirdy.
Absolutely not. Sorry, Chelsea. Stay tuned to the socials, and we'll keep you up to date on when the calendar will be available. Haley's asked, just how good was Rocky on Saturday? Is it to do with the new style we seem to be playing, or just better playing in a back 3 rather than a 4? I think for Rocky's played in a 4 and a 3 already this season, and he's been equally excellent in both. So I think it's about more how he's been brought on from being with Johnson and McAllister, etc., since the start of the season.
Agreed.
Lewis Connor has asked, who were your standout players from the weekend's game? For me, Miko, Newell and Rocky all stood out. Again, Lewis, you're displaying extremely, extremely good ball knowledge, because we've already said that, and we've actually highlighted those players in particular. My favourite question every week is John McIntosh asking, what's for tea? If I hear of down the slope slandering John for anything.
I know. I saw that. I was pissed off about that earlier on.
It is tea, right?
Better not come for
Tea.
my pal John.
Tea is what you have at dinner time.
Yeah, I have my tea.
I have my dinner at lunchtime.
I have my lunch at lunchtime.
I have my lunch at lunchtime, and I couldn't give you two tosses whether it's a tea or a dinner. Still scran.
What is for tea? I think because of the Halloween party that everybody's probably heard going on in my house over the past hour and a bit, I'm going to be having the leftovers of that.
The fridge is barren. The food shop's not getting done till tomorrow, so I think I will be raiding the freezer for anything and everything.
Do you want to enlighten us on what you had for your tea the other night? The way you described it to me was it's the most council of councillors dinners you could have possibly ever.
Oh, this was on Saturday. I had 2 tomato and mozzarella crispy pancakes and 6 Yorkshire puddings.
That is absolutely abysmal.
That is the absolute epitome of waiting for payday. That.
No, well, I'd been paid. To be fair, I had a big KFC. I had a very large KFC order for lunch, and I was like, I can't really be arsed like having a big dinner. So I pure trolled through the freezer, and there was a couple of crispy pancakes and some Yorkshire puddings. I was like, bash, that'll do.
Well, John, I had a chicken dal for dinner.
You had what? Sorry, Shaun.
Chicken dal.
Is that to do with rolled dal or something?
Oh, that is the worst pattern ever. That is the worst pattern ever, Craig.
John, when you've listened to this, let us know what you've had for your tea. In fact, go and just tweet us every night and let us know what you've had for your tea, because I quite like to know what other folk have had for their tea.
Yeah.
And then finally, ironically, Gav Dick has asked a question. He's put at the end, he hopes that the grammar is up to Craig's standards. He's wrote the tweet twice and he's spelled it wrong twice. So, no, Gav, it doesn't meet my standards. Use is not a word for a start. Whether you use YOUS or USE, use isn't a word.
Just start using you lot.
What do you think should happen with McKirdy? I think we've answered that. Jack shit. I don't think anything should happen to him.
I do think someone at the club, whether it be players all have had a word with him. Yep. I don't know if Johnson will have done anything about it. He might not have even got involved in it. I do certainly think 1 or 2 of the homegrown players will have maybe had a wee chat with him about it. McKirdy has obviously done it tongue in cheek, and we move on. You're
not allowed to do tongue in cheek when it comes to Hibs. Anyway, unless we've got AOB, which stands for any other business, we'll wrap up episode 19 of the Hibs Ramble. If you're going on Friday, enjoy your trip.
Thank you.
Apart from you, I hope your car breaks down halfway up the road and you miss the game.
And your booking's cancelled for the night time.
I would still get a night out though, to be honest.
Yeah, I hope you don't.
I will. I promise you I will.
If you can keep following us on our socials if you don't already. Subscribe to us on the YouTube channel. Give us a like on 5-star rating on what is it, Apple Podcasts and Spotify that we're on. A TripAdvisor, aye. Yeah, TripAdvisor, you idiot. Right. Cheers for that, lads. Enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll see you next week for a review of the Sheep Thumping.
Goodbye, Ramblers.
Cheers.
Bye.